Okay guys, now I'm going to show you the Yuri technique to balancing your motors and propellers at the same time dynamically using the vibration meter. So first thing you want to do, have your multi-rotor on something soft. I'm just using this towel. Next thing you want to do, use the vibration app like we did in the motor balancing video, and have that set up in the middle of your quad cup, in your middle of your multi-rotor frame, on some foam padding. And if we pull this tape off, you'll see I got that foam padding. Now I put this on to keep it from vibrating in case I do get some wild vibrations from one of my motor prop combinations. And then I'll put the battery on here so that, or at least something heavy, so that when the motor does run and there's a propeller attached, it doesn't lift the whole frame off and get it shaking. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is do a quick test at half throttle of what the motor shows without a propeller on it. Alright, so hit sample. .008. That's what I got when I tested it out, or similar to that. If you look, I actually wrote the number .05. Well, I meant .005 on the motor. So we have a consistent result. I'll run it one more time just so you can see how consistent it is. So that's a pretty balanced motor. See that blue line? It's pretty much non-existent. It's so nice and vibration free. Now I gotta grab a prop. What kind do I need? I need clockwise. Got myself one of my clockwise props. Then I need my spacer, which will be this one right here. So I'm gonna grab that, and I'll be back in a second. Now that I've got my prop and my spacer, what I want to test is that the spacer fits perfectly, and when I mean perfectly, in the propeller. And as you can see, it fits. I can't really wiggle it around or anything, so I know I've got a really good fit. If you've got a propeller with a spacer that wiggles around, you're never actually going to get a really good reading on your motor because it's going to wiggle. Next thing we got to do is test out our spacer to make sure it fits on our motor prop shaft perfectly as well. Alright, as you can see, it takes some force to get it on. Maybe I've got it upside down. Yeah, it's going to take some force. So I'll just grab my prop, put it on there. There we go. And if I give it a little wiggle, I don't feel it moving anywhere, which is great because now I know that my propeller actually is going to fit my motor perfectly, and the spacer for the propeller fits the propeller perfectly. So right away we got a good fit. Next thing we got to do is grab our fastener for the top of the motor, or for the motor shaft. So we've got our spacer that comes with it. See how that fits on the motor, or on the prop shaft? Now, as you can see, it does wiggle a bit, which can be problematic. So when you buy a motor, check if it fits properly. I've had success using these anyways, so I'm just going to leave it and do my best to center it. And you got your little fastener right there. Screw that on. And we'll tighten it in place, and we'll get our first test going. We have to remember though that when we tighten it, we want to tighten it as tight as we would to have it on there permanently. Because, say you get a perfect combination for balance, once you try to tighten that more, chances are it might shift a bit, and your vibration will be different. So, do that on there. Now I'll fasten it up with my fastening tool, which happens to be vice grips, because that's all I've got lying around. And I'm not going to do it too tight because I don't want to rip the threads, because these are RC timer motors and they're not the best quality. However, they are pretty vibration free, so doesn't really matter. Just got to be careful you don't over tighten it and strip the threads. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, so I'm going to just try to keep everything centered and tighten it the perfect amount so that it'll stay tight, and so I don't have to potentially remove it if I get an amazing number. There we go. That's that's tight, nice and tight. I feel comfortable flying with that all the time. Now I got to run my vibration test, see what happens. I've got my vibration app open. I'm gonna have my remote to half throttle, and I got my battery here to keep my multirotor weighted, so when I run the motors, the multirotor is not going to lift at all, and I'll get consistent results. So hit sample. So I got a 0.102, which is bad. So what I'm going to do, change the position just slightly. You can just go around in circles and kind of just hope for the best. All right. Still bad. Oh, I noticed the spacer's jiggling a lot. That might be part of the problem. Tighten that back up in a new position. I don't really go around in a circle. I kind of just go randomly, and eventually you hit a nice number. And then if you want to try to get better, you try to get better. And if you want to stay there, you stay there. Alright, let's see how that works. 0.074, so we're making progress. Oh, but you can tell that my spacer isn't super lined up, so that might be a problem. It's definitely not helping. Let's spin that around. Try to keep this thing centered. Tighten that super tight. Yeah, it's still not centered. We'll see what happens. 0.034. That's actually pretty good. If I run it one more time and actually feel the frame. I can barely feel any vibrations at all. I wish I had this thing centered. You know what? We'll try it without the spacer and see what happens. But at least now we know we can get a number of 0.034, which feels pretty much vibration free. Let's see if I... Yeah, you kind of need a spacer for this. Oh, and I have been tightening it pretty tight and kind of screwing up the threads a bit. So you gotta be careful for that. Yeah, this will kind of dig in weird, I think. It might kind of ruin the prop, so I'm gonna stick to the spacer. Even though it doesn't fit perfectly, did get a good result. So I'm just gonna deal with it and hope for the best. See if I can find a 0.034 again. maybe if I hold the spacer in place, washer, whatever it's called, try to make it centered before I tighten it. Maybe that'll help with results. .070. Yeah, these threads look like I've been tightening it too tight, so there's a good lesson to learn. See how that goes. .077, not as good as that .034 I had. Let's see if maybe I can shift. No, I probably can't shift that without loosening it. Oh, that's right. Another position. .080. Not good. I think I'm getting a lot of the problems from this little spacer not lined up. And I did screw up these threads pretty bad, so I might have to change my plan of attack. Yeah, here, if you look. You have to see these threads got pretty beaten up. And I just realized something funny. See this one? This is another one. This one doesn't really wiggle much at all, right? But the original one I was using here, look how much more that wiggles. So it looks like China screwed up when they made this one, and that's been the problem for this bouncing situation. But I've got a whole bunch of extra motors, so I'm just going to take a good fitting spacer from one of the other ones and use that. I bet you I'll get better results pretty soon. And see how I kind of screwed up the thread down there? What I can always do is just grab another one of these fasteners from one of the other motors and then add it on top, and that way I'll still have a nice locked in propeller and I won't waste a shaft. And that's a good lesson, to always buy extra motors, because you never know what's going to screw up. So let's set this camera up, grab my vice grips, tighten up this motor, and let's see how it goes. .060. Let's try that a couple more times, see if we can get that really low. .088, that's worse. 0.035. Am I focused on the right line? Yeah, you can see it. But I did feel like I chewed up that thread pretty badly. So I'm going to grab a nut from one of the other motors. I've got a whole bunch of these motors. See if there's the focus, come on. Put this one on here, on top, see if I'll tighten that down and still get the same beautiful results. Now I got more peace of mind for that holding on. It's a little bit worse, but I can still barely feel it at all. I don't want to risk ruining that prop shaft much more. I'm going to see if adding some tape to the propeller will bring it down to a nice low number. Alright, grab. So we're getting 0.047. I'll do one more test to make sure it's the same number before I start doing more tests. Oops. 0.51, close enough. Alright, let's put this little piece of tape here. I put it right near the motor. That seems to yield pretty good results for me, so we'll see what happens. 0.045. Maybe I'll add some more tape. See if we can get that number down even lower. 0.042. Let's keep adding tape until we start going up again. There's that third piece of little bit of tape. 0.035. One more piece of tape, see what happens. .031, and the graph is smaller. Let's run that again, see what happens. 0.032. I'll try one more piece of tape, but I don't think we'll get any better than that. Maybe I'll put it at the bottom so that if it is too heavy and I have to remove it, then I don't end up peeling these 4 pieces of tape that actually work really well with the system. 0.29. Well, I guess we're just going to keep adding tape then, because it seems to be working. I'll add a double-sized piece here at the bottom. Oh. Alright, I'm back. Camera overheated. Had to let that thing cool down for a few minutes. So what I did was, oops, gotta tilt. There we go. Tilt the app back. What I gotta do now, or what I did was add that second piece of tape underneath the propeller. And so our last result was 0.029. Let's see what the result is this time. 0.027. I'll run that one more time just to see how consistent it is. 0.026. So we're still going down in vibrations. What's the harm in adding another piece? We're gonna find out. 0.025. Well, I guess we'll try that again. 0.025. So let's add a nice big piece, see what actually happens. I'll move it over to the side a bit just so in case I have to remove it, I don't end up peeling off the tape that I know is there and working to keep vibrations down. And 0.053, so that was obviously way too much weight to add. But 0.025 is a pretty good number, so I removed that tape. I'll test it one more time. Yeah, still around 0.025, 0.027 on that one. So I've got a good result. I'm going to leave it. When I run the prop, I can't really feel anything. So I know I got a nice, clean, vibration-free, and by vibration-free I mean minimal vibration setup for that motor prop combination. Ta-da! Alright, got my next propeller put on my motor. It's the exact same technique as last time. Just going to run through it one time, try to go quickly to show you that it works consistently. So, sample, it was 0.010 before, sample. So I'm getting 0.135, which is bad. Loosen that up, spin it around. .057, it's pretty good. Can't really feel any vibrations when my hand's up against it. I'll try, see if I can get a little lower than that. Or maybe I'll try adding tape to get it lower first. See if adding some tape, no, let's do it the normal way. Alright, let's test that out. .134, that's awful. Let's try that again. Well, that says 0.101, but the blue line is very small. Let's put my hand there and feel the vibrations while it goes. Can really not feel much, but I'll try again, see if I can get a nice low number and small line. Try that out. And what do you know? 0.029, a low number, and small lines. So 0.029, let's run it one more time, make sure it's consistent. Well shit, what do you know? 0.029 again. Yes, now I'll try to add some tape, see if that changes anything. Throw it on this side first, see what happens. .036, so that obviously doesn't add to it. If I remove it and put it on the other prop, or the other side of that prop. And that brings me down to 0.025. So I'll add another piece of tape there, see if we can get it even lower. .023, let's double test it. .026. Let's add another big piece there. See what happens. .028, so that doesn't help. So I'll remove this big piece. But I did end up putting it on top of the old pieces, so everything came off. But I did have one big piece worth of little pieces, if you understand what I'm saying. So I'll put one big piece back and test that out. And we're back down to 0.024, which I think is fantastic. And I'm going to leave it. So my technique worked twice, and you don't really get any vibrations out of it. So I guess I'm the best person in the world when it comes to prop balancing with your motors. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll answer whatever I can.